despite the fact he's been out for a long time, it's not yet been a year, and he's back to have a rematch with Chael Sonnen, who is an equally sort of despicable character, really. Just Mr. McShouty, isn't he? People go on about the fact that he nearly won the first one, and I believe that Anderson Silva was fighting with injuries at that time. I don't really think that, you know, 2 fights later he's going to present much more of a challenge, except that perhaps Anderson Silva will finish him earlier. Those of you who follow him will know that although he's a submission specialist, he also loses by submission quite a lot, and in fact the last time they met it was a submission in the last round that finished him off. So I'm expecting an earlier finish this time. I'll give him a flurry in the first, and then I think he'll go down pretty much, I'll say choke submission in the second there. So I'm going to go for Rafael Oliveira, and I'm going to go for decision. One wonders really why Shane Roller is still in the institution. He's lost 3 in a row, and 2 of those have been stoppages. So there we are. He is fighting John Alessio, who's returned from his days, was he in WEC? Something like that. He lost last time, which I think was his debut, against Mark Bocek. But Shane Roller might be a better prospect. These are both groundsmen, really, and you know, John Alessio, although actually it's been 4 fights since we've seen a submission win from him, and let's hope, shall we? I'll go for a bar submission in the second there. Ricky Fukuda, if you didn't know, was rather big in Deep and Dream not so long ago. Mixed bag in terms of being in the UFC at sort of pretty mid-range caliber people. Konstantinos Filippo, well, he's never been finished, and he basically knows nothing to do with submissions by the look of this, because he's only won 1 by submission, never been submitted, and he's done far better since his UFC debut. I do think that Ricky Fukuda will win this one, but I'm going to go for decision. Fabricio Camões has the ability, in my humble opinion, to submit Melvin Guillard. It's really about as simple as that. Yes, he does lose a substantial amount by submissions, but submissions is his speciality, and Melvin Guillard just can't help himself with submitting to almost anybody who does submissions, and you can be quite a low level caliber and win against Melvin Guillard if you can perform a choke submission. He does have a loss to Kurt Pellegrino by submission, and this is his start of his 2nd stint in the UFC, but he's already in his sort of comeback fight won by submission. He's still doing it, and I see no reason why he won't get a choke submission in the first against Melvin Guillard. I personally think it's too soon for Khabib in this fight. He's got a perfect record of 17, it is true, but they've put him up, and this is the he's only a fight in. He's won his debut against a lesser caliber, a much lesser caliber, and they're putting him up against somebody with a record of 25-7, and a record which of a guy who is very good at doing 2 things. First, submissions, which is Khabib's strong point, and secondly, he's also very good at winning decisions. I think 2 things. First, yes, this is somebody with an inflated record, but I think it's a little harsh to bring him down with quite so much of a bump by putting him up against somebody, you know, with so much experience and who is so good. Perhaps I give Khabib the benefit of the doubt just because I'd like to see it go all the way to decision. So I'll put a yes. So I'll say Gleison Tibau, but I'll go for decision. Perhaps he will surprise me. Who knows? But Mike Easton, who has a record of 12 wins, only 1 loss, is just better because he has fought higher caliber people. Okay, he hasn't necessarily fought those people in the UFC, and there is a strange absence on his record between October 2009 and October 2011, but he has won twice since that sort of hiatus. We're talking people like Chase Beebe, Jared Papazian, John Dodson. So I just feel that he has a little bit more, maybe. I'm going to say decision. I'm going to say that Ivan Menjivar's record will not really allow him to get caught. But I'm going to say that he runs out of time to somebody who's basically fought less people, but better calibre, and has won against them. The question you have to ask yourself before placing money on Chad Mendes is, can he avoid the guillotine? Because if he can, he'll be fine against Cody McKenzie. If he can't, well, I'm afraid that's the end of it. Looking at his record, he only has 1 loss, and you'll be glad to know that it's not by guillotine choke. He doesn't have many finishes, though. He tends to be a decision person, and I'm going to say that, you know, I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to say, you know, Cody McKenzie will give up a spiriting fight all the way to decision. I'm just going to say that I don't think Chad Mendes will get caught in the guillotine. This should be a win by Demian Maia here. Dong Hyun Kim's record is in fact better. It's only 15-1 versus 15-4. However, he doesn't really delve into submissions, and Demian Maia is, or at least was, very good at submissions. We haven't seen those in quite some time, though, and I do feel that he'll have to go back to that if he's going to actually win. I don't feel decisions good enough this time. I'll go out on a limb, if you pardon the pun, and say a bar submission in the 3rd there. Poor Patrick Cote. I did feel sorry for him during his match against Anderson Silva because I felt he wasn't doing too badly until his knee injury, and that injury set him out for a year. And when he returned to the UFC, he just didn't seem to be his former self. Lost 2 more, and that was it. Until this event, where he is going to come back. And he should be fighting Kung Lee. I hasten to add that he has had 4 victories since then. And they haven't all been decision. Kung Lee, well, you know, he was big in Strikeforce earlier on in Strikeforce's history, but, you know, really he's only taken 1 fight a year since, gosh, 2007, something like that. He's spent his time half-heartedly in mixed martial arts, it has to be said, because the other half of his time has been spent on movies. I just don't think, I hope that Patrick Cote is back here with a view that if he works hard, he can get back up to Anderson Silva, should he still be there. And so I think that he's going to be, you know, ever forceful, and I shall say that Kung Lee will probably be able to defend himself. So I'll go for Patrick Cote decision. But I think it depends. I think this fight really depends on Patrick Cote more than anything else. his thing with Forrest Griffin is interesting, because when this first happened back in '59, it was back in 2006, and it split our forum asunder. It really did. There was such a schism, and a lot of us still believe that Forrest Griffin should have won that fight. They did meet again, and it was not so long ago. In fact, was it last year or the year before? Oh no, gosh, it was a couple of years ago now. 2009 it says here. Gosh, it doesn't feel quite that long ago. But anyway, and Forrest Griffin was the winner this time. They have traded split decisions, and so this really could, I suppose, be considered the third in this sort of grudge match that's extended across the best part of 5 or 6 years now. The thing is, people just don't care quite so much as they did, unfortunately, and I think it's for both, really, because it just feels like the end, a rather bad, rather sad ending to something that had been, back in the day, such hype, I mean, you know, more hype than any of Anderson Silva's matches or whatever. Back in the day, it really was, would Tito Ortiz, would Forrest Griffin be able to get through Ortiz or not? And it was all terribly, terribly exciting. And now it just doesn't seem exciting anymore, and I don't know if that's because everything's moved on, or simply because, I don't know, but it just isn't. Not even thinking best of 3, not even thinking they both had split decision victories against each other. It's just not that gripping anymore.